Welcome to Sponty Talks Podcast.
Guys, I have a question.
Go on.
When you're sad or upset, what do you do about it? Like, how do you handle yourself?
Oh, that's heavy.
Well, me, I just cry, I guess.
Likewise, especially when it's so heavy, like you're really mad.
When I'm angry or sad, I tend to stay away from people.
Like remaining silent?
Indeed, the last thing I wanted when I was upset is to talk.
For me, I calm myself by doing something I enjoy, like for example, playing a game.
I do that too. I read books when I'm experiencing intense emotions.
This might sound toxic, but sometimes when I'm mad, I tend to vent it to another person. Like if I'm upset about something, then you approached me, I'll get mad at you for no reason.
I'm like that too. That's why I like to be alone so that I won't say anything I'll regret later.
Wait, do you know that it's actually a form of defense mechanism?
Ah, yes, I know that. What's it called again?
Displacement?
Displacement? Isn't that what happened when you move from one place to another? You know, like moving houses or something?
No, we meant displacement in psychology. It's when emotions like anger or frustration are redirected to a safer or less threatening target.
For example, your parents scolded you and then you also scolded your younger sibling.
It's like you are directing your anger towards them because you can fight back to your parents.
Exactly. Usually it's an unconscious thing. You're not necessarily aware that you're doing it, but it's a way to avoid confronting the real issue.
Ah, I get it now.
But there's also other examples of displacement.
Right, like when my sister gets defensive when I criticize her cooking, so she starts talking about my messy room.
It's kind of unfair, right? Like you're just concerned about them, but they will get mad at you for asking.
Yeah, I'd be pretty upset too if that happened, but I get the point. So basically, it's about avoiding the actual problem and just letting it out somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly. It is easier to express the emotion in a way that doesn't make you confront the real issue. It's like a shortcut to avoid emotional discomfort.
That sounds a little weak. Why shouldn't you just deal with the problem head on instead of pushing it onto someone else?
It's not always about being weak. Sometimes people just don't have the emotional tools to handle the stress. It's more about coping. People have a hard time facing conflict, especially when it involves someone in authority, like your parents or even teachers.
So, is this the kind of thing where someone would get really mad about small thing? Like, you know, someone cutting in line in the elevator, but they're actually angry about something bigger in their life, like their academics or relationship?
Yeah, exactly. You get so overwhelmed by your emotions that you lash out at something small.
It can also be a way to protect your ego because confronting the source of the issue feels too painful or uncomfortable.
That sounds like it could make a lot of people around you pretty frustrated though. Like if someone's constantly displaces their anger, eventually they're going to start pushing people away.
Definitely. It can hurt when the conflicts because the person being displaced from might not understand why the anger is directed at them.
Don't you realize that using others as your punching bag when things didn't go your way causes you even more problems? Because as Jay said, you might push people away unintentionally.
Right, but eventually, those feelings have to be addressed. Otherwise, you can keep carrying them around and it builds up.
And it's not just anger either. Displacement can happen with other emotions as well, like sadness or anxiety.
Ah, yes. People might try to distract themselves by focusing on something else like cleaning or working out rather than dealing with their actual emotional pain.
That's what I do. When I'm feeling down, I lock myself up in my room and paint my feelings out, or sometimes I organize my room.
Yes, that's the most healthier and common way. Some people who don't know how to express their emotions might just distract themselves from feeling them.
It still wonders me why people use displacement as their defense mechanism.
Maybe it's easier to shift focus rather than confront their vulnerabilities.
Or they feel attacked and want to counterattack based on my own experience.
It's like putting on a mask. It's easier to get mad at your friend than admit that you're really scared or hurt by something even deeper.
I get it. It's a defense mechanism after all.
But do you guys have any advice how to overcome this? I'm feeling a little guilty about how I acted towards my brother Avery.
I think the key is self awareness when you're doing this. Because if you can identify the source of your feelings, you can confront them and work through them.
I know it's easier said than done. That's why it's important to have people around you who understands.
Well, my best advice is when you're going through something, calm yourself first and talk it out with someone you fully trust.
I guess the key is to be honest with yourself about what's going on, right? Not just pretending like everything's fine.
Well, there's a lot to think about. I'm definitely going to pay more attention to when I'm upset and how I deal with it.
It's a process. You don't have to get it right every time, but being aware of how you're reacting can make such a huge difference.
It's about being kind to yourself too. Don't beat yourself up if you slip up. The important part is learning from it and trying again.
You guys are making psychology sound kind of like a life hack.
Yeah, if it's all about awareness, I think I'm all in.
Alright, alright. I'm going to try not to flip out over small stuff anymore. I'll let you know how it goes.
Let's just hope you don't displace all your emotions onto us.
No promises.
Ponty Talks Podcast.